Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Juan of Words podcast. I'm Juan Alanis.
And my name is Angelica Cazares.
And this episode is brought to you by the Houston Health Department. The Houston Health Department, as we've mentioned in a couple of previous episodes, we've been working with them this year through the end of the year as we get into the winter season to really help spread awareness and kind of just let you guys know what the Houston Health Department is doing here in the Houston and the Harris County area. Really to encourage people to follow the COVID guidelines, the CDC guidelines, which are for you to be tested when you feel that you need to be tested and to take the safety precautions. Washing your hands, wearing a mask, social distancing, and especially at a time period like we're this episode is going to be released, which is going to be around Thanksgiving. We're all kind of thinking about how we're celebrating, whether we're celebrating in person with family or we're celebrating virtually, just thinking about continuing to be safe. So the Houston Health Department offers a lot of great resources and information as well as testing sites. So if you are in need of information, look them up, and if you're in Houston, and they'll have a lot of resources for you. This month, we're already it's hard to believe this week is actually Thanksgiving Day week. So that means that we're only a couple of weeks away from 2021.
Did you hear yourself?
Huh?
Thanksgiving Day week?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving Day week.
I didn't know Thanksgiving Day had a week.
Yeah, it does. I
thought it had a day. That's why it's called Thanksgiving Day.
No, it's the week that Thanksgiving Day falls on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's like the week. It's the week when you see the
preparations, Thanksgiving Day, the day after,
everybody running
Black Friday, stores. And then that weekend where you just eat all the leftovers.
Yeah, but that means because this is Thanksgiving Day week, then that means that we're literally 5 weeks away from the new year.
Are we?
From 2021.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because this is literally the last week of November, and then next week the 30th is on Monday, but then after that it's December.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I'm gonna miss 2020.
You're gonna miss 2020?
No, I say I can't say that I'm gonna miss 2020.
Every time we keep talking about now that we're reaching the end of the year, all I keep thinking back is when all of this first started.
Yeah, and it seems like a blur, it was really the year just kind of slipped by.
It feels real. For me, it feels real. For me, it feels like it's legit. No. But all I keep thinking back is back to March and April.
But do you feel like the year crept up and passed by fast, or you feel like it went slow?
I feel like I'm not even living it. I feel like it's on pause still from when everything started.
Well, yeah.
I'm still waiting for it to restart.
Well, yeah, I feel that too, but I feel like the year just kind of went away. It was March, and then all of a sudden it was the summer, and then all of a sudden it was the fall, and then now it's
right. There's no months. There's no months. There's seasons now.
Yeah, and now it's going to be 2021, and I was like, whoa, nothing happened in between there.
Well, a lot has happened. What do you mean nothing happened?
Well, I mean nothing monumental has happened.
Nothing monumental. The 2020 pandemic.
Well, not in the world.
The 2020 presidential election.
Oh, you're loud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You can turn me down if you want over there. I'm so sorry about that. Excuse me to those people who have sensitive ears like my husband.
No, not the...
But you don't... the monumental...
Did I turn myself down? I think I did.
You did. Turn me up a little bit. Golly, you completely shut me up. All right. No, what I'm saying is the 2020 presidential election, the first vice president woman, the 2020 pandemic.
In the world. I mean, in my day-to-day life, I don't feel like a lot happened. Normally, in a year.
But we did. What did we do today? Where did we go today?
Well, yeah, but I don't consider that a huge milestone.
That is a huge milestone for us.
But I feel before, it would be oh, you know what? We this year we would have had our anniversary party, and we would have had a big party, and we would have invited a lot of people, or we would have gotten. What? I feel we would have.
Those are marking moments for you.
Yeah, I think celebrating a big occasion is a memorable moment of the year, or had we gained the momentum that we had at the beginning of the year, had it continued, had we been oh yeah, we did this and then we did that and all these milestones.
But we did do things.
Instead, I feel it was more baby steps. Okay, everybody's nervous for 3 months, and then all of a sudden people start getting a little less nervous, and then it's like, okay, little things happen, but I don't feel like there were any like big milestones. Maybe that's just me.
I think that's just you.
Yeah.
This year is monumental to me.
Really?
This has marked my life forever. Forever. I mean, like, for example, one of my nieces had a baby. I didn't even see her pregnant.
Well, my sister had a baby, that was.
I didn't see her pregnant.
Yeah,
I know, but I didn't see my sister pregnant. I mean, my niece pregnant at all throughout her entire pregnancy. I didn't see a belly. I've met my nephew through pictures. The 2020 election, like the first woman lady vice president in office, like it's huge. What was that?
I'm like, but that's not really impacting my day-to-day life.
No,
not really. Like, it's just like, it is cool.
See, this is I can't celebrate moments like that with you, because when you give me reactions, I'm like, God, you did like, this. If you're watching the video, he's putting his hand and he's swaying it like up and down, like so lukewarm so type of situation.
Not that her accomplishments or that the change of government is not significant or that it's not important or it's not to be celebrated, but I guess because I don't really feel like that directly impacts me, so I'm like,
you don't think it directly impacts you? I
can get excited about it, but it's not really.
She's your vice president, of course she impacts you.
Yeah, but the other guy was my president too, and it didn't.
But he did. He did impact you.
But I was like, I mean, no, I know he impacted whatever. Anybody who's in government is going to impact my life in some way. But I guess it's not my day to day, so I'm like, I'm not thinking about it constantly. I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think about that. Like, oh, now we have a first woman president or vice president. That that means that my bills are like, I'm gonna make more money now, or I'm gonna I don't know, like I'm gonna have more access to certain things.
I
don't think so.
I didn't. I guess
that's just not the way I see it.
I thought I wasn't gonna see a woman in that space at such high power until I was older. Much older. I thought I was going to see maybe a few more diversity with more men, but I was not expecting, after Hillary, and they roasted her and they just sent her on her way, and that was the end of it. And all that scrutiny she got, and just like she got rolled over and over. Even now, she never made, even now, the mere mention of her name in any political space, it's always the same. And she can't outlive that. And I was like, no, we're never going to have that. Like, it's not going to happen. Not maybe a couple of years, maybe like a few more elections and stuff like that. But here and now, and I was like, no way. No way. I live in a world where before I turn 40, I get to see a woman vice president.
Yeah, and that's definitely exciting. And that's definitely exciting. It's definitely amazing. It's definitely cool. All of that. And, I think it's really cool. I think it's like, I celebrate it with everybody else.
But do you really?
Yeah, I do. But the only thing I'm saying, which I don't want it to get confused that I'm not like happy about that, or to all I'm saying is like, when I think about my year in 2020, when I think about like what milestones I had in 2020, that's not really that doesn't make my list. Like who won presidential election, who didn't win, like that doesn't really make my list. Like I'm more like about like I'm more interested in, I guess, not that I'm more interested in, but I guess when I think about my year, then I'm like thinking about like, well, what are milestones that I achieved, what milestones that we achieved, what milestones and the thing that I think about is like, the big one for me is like this podcast, and I'm like, oh yeah, like
this podcast.
We did this podcast, and we've been able to like continue and maintain it and grow it and this and that. So like that is like a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And while the vice president,
you started a whole other company.
Yeah, and while the vice president thing is cool, it's just not on that same level for me. So it's not that it's not important to me.
But you started a whole company.
Yeah, I did. We started a whole new company.
We did together.
Yeah.
That's not a milestone?
That is a milestone, but it's not.
So how is this not monumental for you? How are you not seeing this? How are you not seeing this? Because it wasn't over a week span?
No, because
and it was over a couple of months?
I guess because it was not as fast as maybe it's in my head that I'm imagining had things like had things happened in person where we weren't doing things
You would have liked to see people?
that maybe it would have gone faster, like maybe the growth would have been faster, like maybe the existing company that we already had, or the new company that
But what
we
if
started,
we would have gone slower?
or the podcast that we started, like maybe things would have gone faster, like maybe we would have been able to make more connections. Because you know what I think we're missing is like human to human contact, those human to human like networking, and like those relationships and those things that happen like when you're sitting with somebody in person, and like you make a connection, because you know like that we made a lot of connections like that.
I miss people for sure. I miss the genuine
people, it's like making those connections, because you're like when you make those, like you could be having a conversation with somebody, and then you know you just happen to mention something like, oh, you know what, we started a podcast, and they say, oh, you know what, you should connect with so and so, because they actually were looking for to work with people who have podcasts or whatever. And it just like is little things like that just come out of conversation when you see each other, when you're talking with people. I guess what I was saying is, had we had those opportunities in person, like maybe things would have been moved a little faster. And I guess that's what I'm like. That's why I feel like the year was a little bit slow, and maybe we didn't hit as many milestones.
We would have never probably started this podcast. We might have been concerned with stupid, frivolous things that we have in the past, where we take up so much time worried about one thing.
Yeah.
This has, for example, this has given us the opportunity. I don't know, Juan, like there's huge milestones in my personal life that have happened this year.
Well, why don't we go there? Why don't we talk about your milestones, and then maybe that'll help me remember some of mine.
So, for example, when all of this started, obviously the pandemic, and then not seeing my family, and then having a really hard time trying to deal with that and understand why that was important, not to see them as much. I'm so afraid to, one, to get sick, two, to get them sick. And then I had the death of my cousin, unexpected, out of nowhere, and I'm still so afraid. Like, I want to go and visit my other cousin, her sister, and I don't know how to do that, because I'm so afraid again that I'm gonna get sick, or I'm gonna get her sick. Like, I want to be there for her, and I feel like I can't. This podcast that has allowed me to really like flourish in ways that I haven't been able to do. Starting my own like little series of Latina leadership series, starting hopefully soon my own podcast, soon enough, and starting another project, and doing like things that I would have never, I nunca me atreví to do them earlier, sooner. And this just kind of shed a lot of light on like, then you're just wasting your time. You know, it's this year has showed me how much of a waste of time that I could have done so much more. Starting our company. I mean, it's for me, Juan, it's imprinted my entire life, 38 years old. This will be it.
So then what do you think in 2021, when you're going into 2021, like, are you thinking like because we're still dealing with this pandemic, and like, I guess the hope is that in 2021, like at some point things will go back to normal, or some kind of normalcy.
I'm not expecting it to go back to normal.
Closer to what we were before. Like maybe we still have to wear masks, but maybe the vaccine, we were able to get vaccinated, and then we're a little bit more immune to getting sick, and so there's not as much risk to be out and about, or to see people, or to hang out with people again. So thinking about that, like when if those things are kind of like back to normal, quote unquote, like what do you think, like, or are there certain things that you're thinking about in 2021 like you normally would a new year?
I'm thinking 2021, a lot of the year is going to look a lot like 2020.
Oh my God. That's what drags me. That's what makes me, that's what like frustrates me, because I'm like, I don't want it to be like another year. Like,
you can't be mad at it.
No, it doesn't make me mad. It just frustrates me, because I'm like, like I want it to be, I don't know. I feel like we've already, like, it's already been a long time. It's already been a very long time. It
has, and it's put us in very unpredictable circumstances, and it's shown me like to just, I don't want to sit here and sound so cliche, be like, it's maybe put things into perspective, because it has and it hasn't. It has disrupted me to the point where I'm like, holy shit, this is real. This is for real. And I don't know, we all we're all in a bad moment, in a bad space together, and it's allowing people to really assess a lot.
What I really
and it's
don't
allowed
like?
me to do the same.
Yeah, I agree. What I really don't like is the uncertainty of it. Like,
You're
I don't
right.
like the like you said earlier, like, where were we today? And we were getting a new car, so we just purchased a new vehicle, and then
And not new.
well, not a new vehicle, but a used vehicle.
It's a
Pre-owned vehicle.
used vehicle, new to us.
New to us, yeah. Well, but it's new to us, so it's new. So, and that in and of itself is kind of risky, because you're like, well, what if something happens? Like, you never
I hate
know.
you. I don't like hearing you talk like so pessimistic like that, because I'm like, really?
But that's
Really?
but
that's what you're expecting now?
No, that's not what I'm expecting. That's just my, when I had told myself, like, you have to be realistic and you have to think about, like, every scenario. Then that's what gives me, like, that's what makes me, like, a little bit uneasy about 2021, where my mind says, okay, maybe you need to maybe it's not as exciting as a year before, or like 2019, when we were going to 2020 and you didn't have any of that.
I can't remember. Do you remember milestones in 2019?
In 2019?
Yeah. Do you remember anything about 2019 where you can say,
My
that was a
memory-
great year?
My memory was bad anyway, so I can't remember anything past, like.
So then why are you
what
mad at
happened
it?
yesterday?
So then why are you mad at it? You can't even remember why you mad at it. No, but I'm
because-
saying
no,
it.
but
But
what
do
I'm
you
saying
feel
is,
like we had monumental moments in 2019?
I feel like we did.
What?
I feel like we did.
What was it?
Like, I feel like it was like.
It was the same as 2018.
I don't know if that's true. Like, I think that there were milestones, and I think every year has milestones. But I think, like, yeah, you're right. Like, you can't remember specifically what they were, so it probably doesn't matter that much.
No,
whatever the milestones were.
I think 2021,
But-
2022, 2025, 2030, I am going to remember 2020.
Yeah, because we were in lockdown for like the
No,
whole
not
year.
only that, because of everything else that I said.
Yeah, and I think but you said it at the beginning. I think that part of the reason why all of those things pop out so much is because you had a moment to stop. Like, you weren't running around. We weren't running around, with our daily lives like normal. So where, like, a normal year, like 2019 or 20 whatever, like, you don't remember those things that, because you didn't have to sit down and take a pause and really, like, experience those things, as opposed to just being like, I'm gonna be out and I have a lot of stuff going on and I'll deal with it when I can. Like, no, right now that's not you don't have that option. It's like, you're gonna deal with whatever happens, because you don't really, you're at home. And there's not a lot of places that you can go. I mean, there are, but safely, without putting yourself at risk.
I hold pause every time I go out anywhere.
Yeah.
I very much do.
Can we?
When?
Yeah, it was like, so we remember, so we went to Galveston. I think we had mentioned it once before, and we went to have dinner there once. I was really nervous when we were there.
Oh yeah, me
I was
too.
really nervous
Me
because,
too.
like,
Me too.
even though it was
Was about a week ago. 2
No,
weeks
it was
ago.
longer than that. It
2
was
weeks
when
ago?
we came back. It was right when we came back, the weekend that we came back from our little road trip.
Oh, okay. It was more than 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So we went and we ended up, because there's the restaurant that we like, and they have a patio outside,
Which is where we like to sit.
and it's on the water.
Yeah.
And we sat there, but the way, like, I think different restaurants have different interpretations of what social distancing means.
Oh yeah.
So some restaurants, it's just like, oh, you're sitting outside, so you're
Everybody's
social
good.
distancing.
Everybody's good.
and that's not, and then that makes that was the case at that particular restaurant. So it made me nervous, because we were kind of close to other people. So,
Yeah, we were. Like, it didn't look like they removed any tables.
Yeah, and
It looked like it was a regular old, like, 2019 day, out in the night and on a patio, like, trying to have our dinner.
so that I was really nervous about, because
Yeah.
I just felt really uncomfortable in that scenario, and we kept our masks on most of the time, and only, like, when we ate real quick, and then we, like, put our masks back on, because we didn't want to, like, I don't know, not that we didn't want to, but you just never know. And then
It was tricky. It was tricky.
You catch yourself, like, giving people, like,
Dirty looks.
because you're like you probably have it, or like you have the germs, and like,
You got that germ that's gonna
you got
spread
that
it.
germ. You're gonna make me sick, or like, I don't know. You just catch yourself thinking like that. Or
I do get
somebody,
frustrated.
or if somebody's not wearing their mask, and
I
you're
do
like,
get frustrated. Under
if
my
they're
knee.
getting too close to you, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I give that side. I'm like, can I help you? That is not 6 feet. No, but I do. I find myself underneath my breath going like, put on the fucking mask. And like under my breath. And I'm like, and I like dart straight into people's eyes. And I'm like, I turn really swiftly. I'm like, ha, I see you. I see you. Cover your nose. Like that, what you're doing is unacceptable. Cover your nose. Look, if I can manage to, and then, you always put yourself in their shoes and you don't know how they're dealing with things or not. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if that thing is giving them anxiety or if they really can't breathe. I don't know. But look, if you cannot like hold your mask and you have to like expose part of your mouth like every other, 10 minutes because you got to take a deep breath, stay away from everybody. Like be like, oh, stay 30 feet because I have a hard time with my mask. Like don't come up close to me. Where was I today?
But you know what? Some people just don't believe in masks, and so that's the other thing that's crazy is that you do have like that certain portion of the population that just doesn't believe that it's necessary or that it's a hoax or that it's like not real, and so they're not doing it for any other reason besides that they just don't want to, and like that's where it gets a little bit like.
Where were we today? I think we went to Bert's Food. And you asked us, you're like, was it packed? And I was like, no, it wasn't packed. There was just a big line.
Because there's certain spots that we've been avoiding that we're like, because we know that a lot of people go there, like it gets crowded, especially during like lunch hours or when like peak times. So
let me tell you what happened.
We avoid going there. So when you told me you went there, I'm just explaining that when you told me you went there, I was like, was it packed? Like how packed was it? Because normally
it wasn't. It was before lunch. It was before 12.
Yeah.
I think it was right before 11 because they start serving. They start serving like around 10. So we went there before 11, and it looked like there were some people there, like some people online. It never would faze me if there was like 20 people online because that's just the way Bert's is, right? But there was like maybe 5 people in front of us. For us, that's a lot because we're like that's for us, me, you, and Edgar. We're like, oh, that's 5 too many. Like no, we ain't doing this. We are not. And so I was like, okay. So we stand in line. We're at a distance, and the ladies are like calling people over to the counter, like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Right? And everybody has no problem getting right next to each other. And there's a big old sign that says stay 6 feet apart. I'm like, nobody, ma'am, like you behind the counter who's taking the order of everybody is not, you're expecting everybody to stay 6, but why are you asking everybody to come to the counter at the same time trying to ask your orders, right? So they got about 5 girls in the back and everybody's trying to take the same order. It's not a big like display case, like a the hot tray. What is it called? The food hot.
The serving area.
The serving area, yeah. With the glass, right? It's not very big.
Well, it's the same thing at Matamoros or like when you go get barbacoa and stuff like that.
You see the space, counter. Right? You see the space.
It's one counter, and then there's a bunch of ladies back there, and or like men or whoever's back there, and they yell out like, "Who's next? Next!" And then whoever's next, you tell them what you want. But like you can be like 5 people at a time ordering
at the same time,
shoulder to shoulder. So it's like, but I have seen a lot of people that they stand back. Or like they're yelling at them.
That's what I did. That's what I did.
And that's normally what I was like, I want 3 tacos.
No, so I did. I stood back and they were like, yeah, this. And I moved back and I started yelling. I was like, can I get the boudin spicy? And she was like, honey, I can't hear you. I was like, can I get the boudin spicy? Like, I am not going to. Like, no, not happening for me. Y'all be playing around too much out here. And so the guy next to me, I didn't see him, but like not next to me so immediately, but it was like maybe, how far must he have been? Like not that far. And I was like, but I was still trying to keep my distance. So he was facing forward and I was behind him. So whenever he was talking, he was facing them. You know what I mean? And I always try to do that stuff. And then all of a sudden when I reached over to get my food and I look at him and he has the mask down a little, he like up below his mouth. And I go, no. Grab my food. I fucking jolted to the, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. I jolted to that goddamn cashier and she was touching all my stuff. Like, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And so we got in the car. Edgar pumped everything in there. We got the Lysol wipes and I started wiping down everything. I was like, I am not playing with these people. Like, and it made me very uncomfortable. And I was like, you know what? I'm not coming back to Bert's. I'm not playing with them like this.
But see, that's a lot of places like
Frustrated.
Like the thing is, you never know wherever you go. You never know how seriously they're taking it or not. Like in every place that you go to.
I know I'm trying to make light of it, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me to like. I'm like, y'all are like, why are we? And our areas hit hard. So for them to do that, it's frustrating. I'm like, y'all can have people waiting outside lined up. Y'all don't have to have everybody in here. I would have more than gladly loved to wait outside.
Well, one thing I when I went to Matamoros, one of the things that one time that I was there, they told somebody came in and they didn't have a mask, and there was a lady, and she said, "Oh, you know what? I forgot my mask, or I don't have a mask." And then the ladies on the counter, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't serve you if you don't have a mask on." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool. Like that they won't even like attend. They won't even like give you a reason to.
They
wait
don't
in
even
line.
bother with you.
Like
I would love that.
If you don't have a mask, then don't come in."
Yeah.
And I've seen that a lot of places start doing that. But one thing that I used to do at the beginning when I started wearing masks that would kind of make me feel awkward is when you would walk in front of somebody or you would come across somebody, and then if I was wearing a mask and if I happened to have it down for a moment because there was a span of space where we were walking where there wasn't anybody around, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pull my mask down, and then if somebody was coming across and it would make me a little uncomfortable to put my mask up. Because when them seeing me,
I don't care.
It would make me feel like they were thinking I thought that they had corona or something. But now I see people do that to me, and that doesn't bother me, and and I'm not bothered by doing it to other people anymore. I think it was just the thing at the beginning when I started wearing the mask. That I don't know if it was the politeness or like the way that we don't. It's just that we were not used to doing that.
Did you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable?
So I didn't want to make them feel like, oh, I'm putting this up because of you.
I am putting it up because of you.
But now it's like, yes, I'm putting it up because of you.
No, I am.
If you put it up because of me or you walk around me,
I sure do.
It doesn't bother me. You can walk around me.
I sure do.
Because if I have
as soon as people stop for me to pass, I hurry up. I go like run across, and I'm like, yes, this is what we're doing. And somebody's coming at me, and they're like not moving. I like step 3 times, like step 3 to the side, and then go straight. Or like people are close to me, I turn around and I look at them, and I'm like, you better back up. You better back. Like that's not fucking 6 feet. I need you. But you know what? I've always been like that around my personal space. I remember one time I was at Target before all of this happened. I remember one time I was at Target, and I still remember this. This is how much it bothered me. I still remember this. I was in line, and all of a sudden, I felt somebody behind me, and I was like, "That's me. That's my anxiety. Like I'm heightened with my anxiety. Like I'm just on edge, and it's me. I'm being self-aware." And then I hear this. I was like, "What the?" I was like, I stared at him. I was like, and I just stared at him. Sir, if I can hear you breathe, you are standing way too goddamn close. Like, what the fuck was that?
It's like those videos that they do now where they walk up to people and they like purposely like make noises in their ears.
Oh, I would have swatted somebody. I would have backhand real fast. Hell yeah, I seen that. I do not play that.
It's like these young guys that go up to other men, and like they like will. That's what they do. They like they'll make a noise in their ear.
Groaning?
Yeah, like something like that. Moaning.
Okay.
They'll go up and they'll like make a moaning sound next to a man.
Look at this, my skin curled.
And not that there's anything wrong with that, but
yes, there is. Don't do that.
But the guys like I watch the video sometimes, and like I will say about half of the guys will try to beat them up, or will try to like all the guys will yell at them, or try to push them, and if not, or at least they'll say, "What's wrong with you? Like, what the hell's your problem? Why are you yelling in my ear?" And then the other, like at least half of them that I've seen, they'll chase after them and be like, "What the hell's your problem?"
It's funny for content, but if it was me, I would have kicked somebody.
Oh yeah, like that's
I would have kicked some. I would have threw myself and grabbed you by the feet to make you like. Nope. I don't like those public. I don't like watching them either. I don't like those public pranks. Yeah, and especially in the stores.
But there's like, I guess the personal space is a big thing. Like personal space, like for some people it's really important. For me, like it is important, but I guess I never really like noticed before now I notice a lot, like my personal space, if somebody comes into my personal space. And before I would notice too, but it wasn't like as alarming when somebody would get in my space.
Well, I got a rule. I have a rule. If I don't know your name, you need to be an arm length away.
So you need to be here.
Yes. If I don't know your name and you don't know mine, you need to be an arm length away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should not be able to smell your breath. I should not be able, like, if the wind hits your hair, I should not be able to smell the kind of shampoo you wear. No. No, it should not be obvious to me if you're a heavy breather. Like, all of that, like, if I don't know your name and we don't know each other, maybe stay an arm length away. And especially if you're like behind me in the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're behind me in the line, and Edgar hates it when I do this, but usually, purposely, I'll grab carts, like push carts, and I don't put anything in them, but it's because that's how far I want people away from me. Yeah. So, for example, if I'm in line, and the person behind me,
and you'll walk in front of the cart.
Yes, and the person behind me can't seem to understand what distance is. Like, I'll put the cart behind me, and then I'll step in front of it, because that at least gives me 4 feet from them, which means all I got to do is give me another 2 feet, and I can manage how far away I step away from the person in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I absolutely, I'm a big, so I grab carts on purpose because of that.
So yeah. So
do you notice that I do that?
I do notice that you do that, and I do it too sometimes. Like, if I know that I want, especially when it's a store that I walk into and it's crowded, and there are a lot of people there, then
We've stopped walking into crowded stores. Then
I'll purposely get a cart and use it, so that I can try to keep people at a distance. But I think it's still if this is still happening in 2021. That's my thing, is it's going to be,
I think it's here to stay. And I think good people need to understand and learn about, we're teaching kids about personal space too. We're teaching kids about being respectful, about people's personal area, people's how to, because kids are touchy, they tend to be touchy, and that's a good thing, you know what I mean? But it also needs to be learned that some people don't like that, and that's okay too. Yeah. And I think this is definitely allowing us to teach kids that that manners and respect, and you know what I mean. And why do we? And this for sure. One of the big things that I'm like, oh, you know what? This is probably like wearing a mask. You know what wearing a mask has done to some kids? It has stopped them from yelling. I haven't heard a lot of yelling kids since the whole mandate of mask going on inside Target, inside Walmart, inside Kroger, inside anywhere else. I haven't heard screaming kids anymore. Have you noticed that?
I still hear them.
You still hear them?
Not as frequently, but I do hear them.
No, I hear kids talking, and I hear kids
kids crying.
I hear more of them they'll grab their moms and be like, "Oh, can we do this?" Like, they're more talking to them. I don't see them running around the store anymore.
I guess maybe I don't pay attention, but I feel like I have heard kids crying.
But have you seen any kids running around the store? No.
I haven't paid attention. I don't know.
No, I haven't seen any kids running around the store yelling, screaming, and it's like I said, kids are going to be kids for sure. But I feel like it's allowing them, it's teaching them that responsibility for yourself, managing you're being self-aware. It's taught them that, and maybe it's teaching them oh, this is the place where we come, and this is what needs to be done, and when we go over there, I can act like that, and I can behave in a when mom says this or dad says that, I don't know, maybe I'm making this up at this point. I don't know if that's true, but I haven't seen them. I've seen kids in public, but I don't see them running you know what I mean, where all of a sudden you turn around and you got a kid in your cart and you're like, where did you come from? How did you? And then the mom's running down and she's like, Gavin, on, get down from there, stop, you know what I mean, stop touching there, stop. I think now it's not like that. It's not like that. Or I don't gotta, you know what I'm saying, where a kid where I have something, or because it's happened to me before, while I have something and they'll go and they'll like touch it. But what's this? And I'm like, where's your mom? How sweetie, how are you? Oh, this is this. Where's your mother? Why are we speaking to strangers? I'm not a bad stranger, but where's your mom? Like, it's like those experiences haven't happened to me.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. I just haven't. I guess I don't pay attention.
I feel like now they're just, I feel like things have gotten more in the store, and in terms of like people's behaviors, some those of kids has been more civil.
So for me, the 2021 one, I guess the things that I think about, like now that since we started talking about earlier about the new year and kind of what that means and kind of what we might be thinking about as we're going into the new year. I guess I think about like what will life look like after we kind of have more of a semblance of something different than this. So, you know, if we get how soon can we get those immunizations or those shots, whatever, where they're going to give out to people. And then once we do, like, how is that going to like allow us to move forward? And I guess I think like also like what are the things that are going to change, you know, with the new administration coming in and things that might be coming down the pipe, you know, that I'd love to see another stimulus package get approved at some point.
We were promised another one.
Yeah, at some point I like to see that happen. I like to see, you know, just things like that take place. But I don't know, like I feel like this year just kind of flew by for me, and it really didn't like, I don't know, like it was a moment for reflection, but it didn't really feel like reflection because it just went by so quickly. So
I think for 2021, I'm ready for more personal growth. I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what more. I don't know. See the you know.
Well, I know we have a couple of projects in the works, and there's a few things that like I'm kind of hoping that will happen because I think that would be like exciting to move in that direction and start doing things.
Those
and,
projects?
Like, yeah, like
what projects?
Like we were looking at, like we want to like get space, like we want to get like some bigger like studio space at some point.
Oh, okay. I was like, what projects?
Wait, like,
what are
I
you
feel
talking
like
about?
yeah, like studio space, like having a bigger space, like, you know, where we can do bigger things, bigger projects, whether it's just for this podcast or for your podcast, or for other things that we can do outside of this. And I think this is kind of has been prepping us to be able to do like not bigger things, but to do more things.
But I mean, outside of the pandemic, did you see us starting this podcast?
Outside of the pandemic?
Yeah, did you see us starting this podcast? Like, we had been talking about it, so I had bought the mixer, and I was like, no, this is for audio. This is better for audio. This is for those interviews that I want to do, and I want to talk to people. I kept telling you that, which is why we bought it.
Yeah, you wanted to do, and I think you wanted to do something different with what you.
Yeah, my plan was to meet up with people and have these would come to conversations we're having now, and have this with multiple people to be able to start like either my own podcast or my own little show or my whatever. Like I just wanted to create this stuff.
And that's not what you're gonna do with your show, no? Like you're gonna
well, that's where it's gonna head into for sure. That's where it's gonna head into with my show. I feel like I need to prep for it, and I need to start doing the movements now, because by the sounds of it sounds like the vaccine is coming up around the corner. How soon, I don't know, but my guess is like within the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, I've heard like it's by this summer, or spring summer is when we should expect to kind of all be getting the vaccine. So
the majority of people. Oh, okay. So, but for example, things like that, like I expect that it's going to come around pretty soon, and so I'm like, okay, then I can start my project now, because the idea was, and still is, that I want to talk to people. And I don't want them to be scared to talk to me, and I don't want to be scared to talk to them. So I'm excited about that. Wait, where was I talking about? I lost track.
No, we were talking about I started talking about studio space.
Oh yeah, so the studio space. So yeah, but I never knew what it was that I was we were gonna do this. But what my question was to go back to my question. Yeah, the podcast. Me and you started this podcast?
I don't think so, because we had talked about reinitiating another reformatting the podcast that we had before, and then we had talked about you doing your own project that you had talked about, and then I think the direction we were going in is that you had talked about you doing your own project, and I was talking about doing my own thing with with the same equipment, and then it just kind of dawned on us when we went into the pandemic, like, hey, like, why don't we just do this together, because we're here together.
It sounds like we're gonna have a lot of time together. Let's start something. Let's start a company. Let's start a podcast. Let's start this. Let's start.
I'm glad that we did, because I feel like this is like to me, this was an exciting project now. Like, it's like something that I look forward to, and I think it's something that I think that,
even though we fight, so do I.
Yeah, and we actually just fought before this episode, because we were arguing about what we were like.
I know. Anyway, once we get started, it becomes easier.
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, every time we push the start button, we look at each other like deer in the headlights. Like, huh? How do we do this again?
But it's been I enjoy this project, and I enjoy doing this, and I think like I said, it's preparing us for other things, like for the projects that you want to do, and then us to continue growing this project and to see kind of where we can take it with a bigger space, because one of the things that we've been talking about is like getting outside of this like set that we're in, because even though it's a good space and it's been conducive to be able to do it, it's our house. Yeah. But we also have been able to record in other spaces where that places that we stayed at, or places that we were. And
when we've gone
seen different things that
to
are
Airbnbs.
That looks cool, or that could be interesting. It'd be interesting to kind of have those different elements added.
Yeah.
So now we just kind of want to get more creative with doing that, and at the same time we also want to look. We know that there are a lot of people out there who also kind of want to do something similar to this, or who will need help, whether it's for their business or for themselves or for whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of now that we're kind of doing this, we're we can help somebody else, or we can work with other people to do similar things. Then that's kind of the direction that we're looking into. So for 2021, that's one of the things that I'm kind of excited about, that I want to do, and I'm sharing it because I'm like, okay, maybe if I say it, that whole say it into existence, it'll happen and it'll come true.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's the thing. And then I think with both companies that I'm a part of, that our company and then the other company, I want to continue seeing some growth.
Yeah.
And just seeing moving those things forward, because I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be in the same I don't want to be here in the same spot at the end of next year.
Yeah.
I want to be not that I want to be
I definitely do want to. I want growth. I feel like I'll grow externally, whether that's in my career, whether that's in my whatever it looks like, whatever it is. I feel like if I grow personally, all that other stuff might come. But for me, Juan, I always reach to feel good.
Yeah.
I always reach to feel a sense of belonging, happiness, connected.
Yeah. And I'm more, and
I'm very basic.
And I care about those things too, but I'm also always thinking about what's the next project? What's the next thing?
What's the next thing we can do? No, and I definitely greatly appreciate that, because that motivates me too.
So I don't know, but anyway, so I don't know if this makes sense as a thing. It makes very much sense as a Thanksgiving Day episode, because we really haven't.
Well, here we go. We were fighting. We were fighting
about Thanksgiving, but
we were fighting about earlier. We were fighting about what grace. Hold on. Let me. What we were fighting earlier about, what does grace mean? Right? Gratitude. What does gratitude mean?
We weren't. No.
So no. Hold on. Juan. Question, Juan. What does gratitude means to you? What does gratitude mean to you?
No,
and what are you? Wait, hold on. And what are you grateful for? I understand that, but I'm asking you.
Huh? I mean, I don't know. Like, gratitude to me is just that, like being grateful for something, like being appreciative of what, like, situation, whether it's what you have, whether it's a people in your life, whether it's situations that you've been able to come into contact with, or whether it's opportunities that have opened up for you that maybe didn't pan all the way out. But that led you to think. So if I think about the things that I'm grateful for this year, I'm obviously grateful that for health, that our family here, that we're healthy, and that our extended families are healthy. That's definitely the number one thing that I'm grateful for. Number two, that we're able to sustain in terms of like being self-employed and working for ourselves, and that we've been able to sustain in this crazy year. I'm grateful for that. And then I think the third thing is, like, I went through this rigorous process this year towards the end where, like, it was an opportunity that presented itself, and it didn't end up panning out the way I thought. But it opened my eyes to a lot of different things, and it did open
possibilities.
It left me, I think,
hungry,
better equipped with with new tools at my disposal. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I wasn't even thinking that. So I think real quick, those are just three things that I'm thankful for.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
Well, I didn't think about it.
No, I didn't think about it either. I just kind of thought about it right now. So you're
let's
on the
see.
spot?
Yeah, I feel on the spot now. Well, first of all, what gratitude means to me is, it's a sense for me as I feel like I feel an immense amount of like solace and happiness. Gratitude means that for me. Where, like, when I think about something and I'm like, oh, that's what gratitude means for me. So, but the things that I'm grateful for is, I think you said it, like, our health. We're not in the best of health for sure. I think we can do a lot better job at that. But the fact that we've been allowed to be so far healthy, in the sense of like, I don't know, like, in the sense of like, we wake up in the morning sometimes and we ask each other, how did you sleep? And I'm like, oh, I slept like this, or I had a hard time. And that I'm grateful for. That we wake up and we have these little conversations and we talk, and the simple ones like, how did you sleep? I slept good. For that. And then I'm grateful for the fact that I don't know, to be able to finally be able to personally grow. Like, finally being able to, like, it's been in the works. I went back on my videos and I've watched some of my old, like, videos earlier this year, like January, February, and I'm like, this year I want to do this, and this year, and like, it's just me talking like out loud what I'm thinking. And I watched it and I'm like, holy shit. I was like, is that a manifestation of like, oh, okay. And it wasn't like, it was so simple. I'm so simple. I'm so basic. That, not that it's a bad thing, but it's so basic. But I was having a hard time with basic things. So it's not like I went from like, from the basicness of things to like, oh, now I'm like above and beyond. No, I was struggling. Like, I was struggling, like just struggling. And so I called myself out on it to myself. And then I started reaching those basic places that I was like, oh, this is what that feels like. Oh, this is what it is to feel content. This is what it is to feel happy. This is what it feels to be dissatisfied. Oh, this is what you know what I mean? Things like that that I was missing in my life. Because I would immediately be like, I'm angry, I'm so angry. And you can see that in me. I could see that in me. So of course people could see that in me. Where I was just so angry, and I was like, what is this? So I'm happy to have better sense, because I maybe have absolutely no sense at all. But I'm happy to be like, have better sense today, and I hope it stays with me. I will keep like pushing to keep it happening so I can keep growing. So yeah.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, and I think it makes sense now that what you were saying at the beginning about, you feeling that this was a year of accomplishments, because I think that when you talk about it that way, then yeah, it makes sense that that's where your mind is at. And that's kind of the way you're thinking, like your big milestones for 2020 are there, and I think that makes a lot more sense now to me.
Oh, does it?
To me, I don't know if it like to anybody else, but just to me, like I'm like
we understand each other on a whole other level.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And like, no, I think other people might have gotten it from the beginning, but I think I was like, huh, accolade, like what? We had milestones.
You're like, it was all shit. What are you talking about?
It was crazy. What milestones? But I'm like, but now that you explain it like that, I'm like, yeah, I can see like why it would be such an important year for you, and why it would be such a memorable year for you. Yeah.
But we just want to remind you, this episode is brought to you by the Houston Health Department. Please adhere to the CDC rules of social distancing, wearing a mask, hygiene as washing your hands whenever you come back home, 20 seconds, do all of that great stuff. And try not to gather in multiple households.
With multiple households? Oh yeah, you don't try not to gather multiple households.
Yeah, like if you're like don't hang out with your brother who has a whole family.
Like don't hang out with people that don't live in your household, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what that means. Yeah.
All right. Well, other than that, we'll just wish you a happy Thanksgiving again. And other than that, we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, and with that,
we'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.